If you've been feeling stuck or lost, or maybe you're even feeling confused, staring at the wall, wondering what just happened in your life, or maybe you're asking yourself, who am I? What do I do? Why do I feel so stuck? Where do I go from here? What do I want? If you're asking any of these questions, or you're just in that space of your life, then this video is for you. I know I have been there. I know it can feel completely disorienting, and especially if you're feeling lost. But what if I were to tell you that you're not? You're not lost. You're not stuck. You're just in a phase of your life that needs to be moved through. And I don't mean that it's a phase, just get over it, meaning actually, I want you to stay right here, right in it. Because just like we have seasons, spring and summer and fall and winter, we have inner seasons too. And when you know what phase you're in, it gives you something to hold on to because you know that you are here for a purpose and a reason. And it's actually quite an invitation to deepen something in your life. Just like you probably wouldn't wear flip flops in a snowstorm, although I live in Los Angeles and anything goes. But aside from that, you probably wouldn't, right? You would be equipped and prepared for the season that you're in. And that's exactly what we're going to be walking through in this video today. Hi, I'm Destiny. I'm a trauma-informed life and grief coach, and I have walked through many phases and shifts in my life, from deep, significant loss and change and reinvention and rediscovery. And I work with clients every single day navigating similar shifts and identity transitions and soul awakenings. And that's why I created what I call the Destiny Map. I know, my name, but it works. But the Destiny Map is a framework that walks you through the 5 powerful transformational phases we all, at some point in our lives, were in, and likely many times. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through where you might be at right now in your life, what phase you're actually in, and what you actually might need in this phase. What tools, what resources do you need to work through and navigate yourself through it? So let's walk through the 5 phases of the Destiny Map that I've created. And that way you can empower yourself, you can name where you're at, and you can know what you need. And just a quick note, I also want to encourage that as I go through some of these, and I'm going to touch on them in this video, but I'm also going to walk through them in much more depth in this series. But I just want you to tune into yourself and see which resonates the most with you, because you'll likely know. And just know that whatever phase you're in, it's not meant to be rushed. Every phase has a purpose and meaning and insight and a wisdom, and even perhaps a gift that you might need. So let's get to the first phase, which is the disruption phase. And this is one I've been through many times. This is the shakeup, the breakdown, the wake up call in your life. Maybe something significant has happened, a loss or a breakup or a health scare or a job shift. Just whatever it is, something has completely altered your life and shifted. Or maybe it's something in you. Maybe you have changed, you have shifted, and you know that in order for you to move forward, you would have to make a serious change, and that would require that in you. And that can be really scary and disorienting, and hence we keep ourselves stuck. Either way, it can feel like a soul quake. And you know what this space needs the most is actually space and breathing room and presence and grace and compassion. And you don't have to know all the answers or move forward too quick. It's okay. But once you kind of move through this disruption phase, it brings you in this more quieter inward season of your life. Maybe you've made it through the abrupt shakeup, but now you're here like, okay, well, what's next? And that's what brings us to the next phase, which is the reflection phase. And it's not always that comes from a disruption. I mean, you might be just a reflective person, but if it comes and when it comes, this is where you start asking big questions in your life. This is the in-between phase. You know you're not who you used to be, but you don't know who you are yet. Maybe you are really withdrawing from the world or your friends or your relationships. You might feel like a hermit in your life and you're kind of isolating yourself. You're really asking deeper questions in your life, like, what do I actually want? What do I even believe anymore? do I even believe what I believe now? And especially if it comes out of the soul quake and the disruption, everything is highlighted. Everything has been literally disrupted and brought to the surface. And you start to see it with new eyes and start to reflect and contemplate that in deeper ways. Just know that whatever brought you in this reflection space, it is requiring a pause and a deepening in you. And when you've given yourself that space to listen and to reflect and to reconnect to those deeper parts of yourself, that's where often comes the moment where something starts to stir a little bit. A spark, voice, you start to hear yourself a little bit louder. Maybe you have a nudge to be seen more. And that's where we enter the radiance phase. And this phase is where you start to see that light in you return. You feel a little bit more like yourself again, although you also are reintroducing or even discovering new parts of yourself that are coming. It's like this deeper truth, and you're ready to start speaking up, to start creating again. You have this longing to be seen and to stop playing small. You want to stop shrinking and start showing up on your terms. And this isn't about being loud or being in the spotlight. It's about being powerful. It's about reclaiming your voice and your truth and your energy. And you start to share more of who you really are. You're authentic, and you do it without apologizing. This is such a powerful, powerful phase to be in. And then when you have really started to radiate, it's time to go from the voice to embodiment, from truth to action, from knowing who you are to being who you are. And that's what brings us to the next phase, which is the becoming phase. This is when it gets real. This is when you have done a lot of the inner work. You have moved through hell and back, your life disrupted. You have been reflecting and contemplating in your life and looking at the deeper parts of yourself. You are now radiant and starting to show up who you are. And now you're not just thinking about who you are living it, you are breathing it, you are embodying it. Your choices start to match your truth. Your boundaries start to get clearer, and it can feel really, really exciting. But it also can feel raw because it takes courage and bravery, because you're not performing anymore. You're becoming, and you're embodying who you are. And that takes a lot of courage, especially when you start to see the outer parts of your life start to shift. Perhaps some of your relationships change, or people in your life don't recognize this new you. But you are all about living in alignment, letting your yes be yes, your no be no, and really start being who you were always meant to be. And that brings us to the next phase, because once you've anchored into who you really are, you're ready to start building your life around it. This is when the manifestations start to come alive, where momentum meets alignment. And rebuilding is not about like hustle or making things happen or effort or pressure. It's about building your life from your truth, from where you are now and who you are, because you're clear. You know what you want, you know who you are, you have a vision for your life. Now you just need the systems in place and the support and the habits and the choices. And you want to really start building your life brick by brick, layer by layer from your soul. And that's true alignment. And this is where it all starts to come together. You have all the tools. In fact, your toolbox is ready to start getting out there and start taking that action and holding yourself accountable and following through and building the life that you're meant to live. So here's what I want you to know. You do not have to figure this all out at once at all. And in this path, it's not always linear. You might move through these phases in order, or you might skip around. Some phases might last longer than others. I felt like I lived in the disruption phase for many years, especially after my brother passed away. And I will touch and have touched on that in other videos. But I like to think of the inner transformation like a house with many doors. You know, you might enter the front door or the back door or through a side window, but eventually you'll walk through each and every door. And that's the invitation. And each phase is like each door, because they all hold something for you. And when you can name that phase, everything in your life starts to shift. So give yourself the grace and the patience and the courage to be where you're at, because that's where you're meant to be. And when you can, you stop spiraling in self doubt and rushing your way out or resisting or questioning, why am I here? And you start showing up and start responding to your life with clarity and strength and empowerment, even if it is a difficult phase. Just trust and know that each phase has different needs, it has different invitations, and it has different tools. And that's what I hope you take away from not only this video, but this video series, and perhaps my whole video channel, because that's what I do. So I want to ask you, what phase are you in life? If one of these phases spoke to you at all, I encourage you not to just sit with it. I'd like to invite you to take my free Destiny Map quiz. And I've got a little printout here. I've got this microphone, so I can't thumb through it. But it's basically just a quick quiz, not a phase, quiz that goes through the phases. It takes like 5 minutes, and if that, really. And I've got a guide that's going to help you walk through each phase and step by step and really give you some tools and resources. And when you're done with that, you'll have some clarity and at the very least, even validation of where you're at. And then you can come back here and then you can start to watch the different videos where I go more in depth with each phase. And speaking of, I would love to see you in the next video where we're going to be walking through the disruption phase in more depth. And I will walk you through that with grace and presence and compassion and give you some tools and resources to help you move through it as well. I will see you in the next video. I'll link the quiz in the show notes, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for being here.